Hey guys, welcome to another day on the shop. Today we got some more parts for the 81 Camaro. Excuse me, 80 Camaro. So as we see here, we got a couple of seals for the axles, and then we got a transmission oil filter with some, but I got some transmission oil as well, or fluid, whatever you want to call it. So I've got enough of that. Right now, what we're about to do is, we're gonna pop these seals in, and so we can get these axles in place. They're pretty clean compared to the way they were. Oh, I've got to finish the drum brakes. They're over here. So, see how nasty and dirty they are with film and whatnot. So I got to pop everything off on here, tag it, and put it where it goes after I do it. Alright, so we're going to install these seals, and the way we're going to do this is I got a little seal kit from, or seal installer / bearing installer from Harbor Freight. Yeah, it's a cheap one, but it should work. Comes with a handle here, and then 63 is the one that fits perfectly. So we're going to be putting that in just a minute. Let's get back here. Alright, if you can see in here, it's a lot cleaner than it was. There's still a little bit of dust and dirt and stuff, but it's a lot cleaner. So the surface where the old one is, I'm going to clean off one more time with a rag and a little bit of degreaser. And then I'm going to drive this thing in there, and we'll probably run some fluid through it for a couple 100 miles and then flush it out again, just to make sure every bad part is out. So let's clean this up. Alright, driving it in, it looks pretty good right now. It's even all the way around, so that's a good sign. So now, yeah, we can, I'm not going to slide the axle in until I get the drum brake done. So I'm going to do this on the other side, and then we're going to start working on the drum brakes. Alright, we got the seals in. Now we're looking at this differential. If we can get up in here. So I got some more gunk down here I got to kind of clean off a little bit more. And then I've got to get all this layer of RTV all the way around off so I can get this other one back on, or this diff cover. So I'm going to clean a little bit more and then get this diff cover prepped. Alright, so I scraped most of it off. I'm going to take a little wire cup on a drill and try and knock the rest of this RTV off. If you can see it right here, still a layer right there, and I can't scrape it off very easily with this razor blade, so I'm going to hit it with the old wire wheel and see if I can get it off that way. Alright, so the differential cover is clean, but these bolts sure aren't. So we're going to clean up these bolts. Got a handful of them. Got a little bracket here that went to nothing. But I'm going to clean it all up and put it back. So we're going to get to wire wheeling these. Alright, so now that all these are clean, once I get them in here, I'm going to paint the cover black again. It's already black. I've kind of cleaned it up a little bit and repainted it, but I'm going to put another layer of black around it just to hit up these bolts, so keep some rust from coming off. So yeah, we're going to get some RTV, spread it around down there. We're going to put the cover on, put these bolts in, heck, even repaint this for some reason. I don't even know what it goes to, but it goes up here, and that's where it's going to go. So, that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so we hand snug the diff bolts in with the RTV in there. We're going to let it sit for about 15 minutes, let it kind of tack up a little bit better, and then we're going to press the pan or the diff cover completely against it and torque it down. So as we're waiting on that, we might as well start looking into digging into all this and cleaning this up. So it's gonna be fun. Never done this before. Let's look into this. Alright, so we got the driver's side here. So we got all these, which I'm going to take a picture of to make sure I know which one's which, and how this goes back together. Like I said, I've never done this before, but I know how they work. So I'm going to take a quick snapshot of this to make sure I know where the springs and all go, and the levers and all that. So let me do that first. Alright, so I got me a little pry bar right here to kind of help me out. This crossbar can come out if done right. Normally, pull it, there we go. We're going to clean all this up and make it almost brand new again. So there's that crossbar holding this section in to the e-brake. This part should fall out once we take the pad out. Alright. Alright, they have these little spring, I don't know what you would call them, spring tamers, spring something or other, I don't know. You press down on them, and then you flip this middle section around to the little hole right here, you release it. There we go. There's one side. Alright, so here's my components. Got these two little locking mechanisms that go through the back of the plate to here, and this is what holds these springs in place. So you turn and pull out. So they go through these holes right here. Alright, you got the bigger springs. Alright, there's those together. You got other springs and other springs and other springs, doodads and whatnot. And e-brake holder, another thing for the spring. This is your adjustment for the tightness of your brake or your drum pads. So you need to keep this in good order, because this is what you can use to either extend or bring in your pads. So either they work or they don't work. But like I said, I'm going to clean all this up, especially this, because this is not really rotating very easily. So and once I do that, I might get a fresh layer of paint, before we do anything else with them. And then we'll be putting them back together and making them pretty again. Alright, as you saw in one of my last videos, super clean with their degreaser. We're going to be using this on here to kind of straighten all this up, shine it up, whatever it takes. This is the full strength. It's used on engine parts and basically automotive parts that don't have paint or anything else that you're worried about harming. So we're going to squirt a bunch of this on here, let it sit for a minute, then we're going to scrub it in, and then we're going to wash it off. Alright, so this is cleaned up. It still has a little bit of paper on here that I'll scrape off with a razor blade. But all in all, there's no real grease on it. It's still a little wet from the degreaser. These are just cleaned up, but I'm going to polish these up and probably throw a nice coat of paint on them. Automotive, probably wheel paint. These the same way. I'll polish these up and put a coat of paint on all this so that I don't have to worry about it. This right here, it seems like it's frozen up, so just soaking it in some WD-40, hoping I can get it to unseize. Clean up the springs just a little bit. I got new springs. I'll probably use my new springs just because they look better and they're not all caked in grease. So I just got a couple more things to clean up, and then I'll be drying them off and throwing a coat of paint on them. Make sure that everything stays looking nice and pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and start polishing this stuff up with the wire wheel and knocking all this stuff off, and we'll see what we can do with this, because hopefully I don't have to buy a new one, but it probably cost me $3. A lot less work to buy one than it would be to fix this, but I'm going to fix this. Alright, so we cleaned them up, painted them with some engine heat paint, so the heat won't get to that. This is just wheel paint, so the dust and debris and stuff won't get on any of this. So just some Dual Cutter high performance wheel coating for your brakes, so if they get hot and melt, oh well. But so I'm going to wait on those to dry and we'll get back to you. Yeah. I finished this one up. It's got new hardware, a new cylinder. It's all painted with heat resistant paint and wheel brake paint. This was seized up. I got it to work again. Got new springs and everything. So this is the way it looks now. This is the old way. I've got to redo all this one now. And before I can put these in, I'm going to finish this one first. So I'm going to pull this one apart and get it working. Alright, everything's cleaned up. I put the metal gasket between the drum and the actual axle. I put a layer of RTV around each side just to make sure if there is any more leakage it doesn't really seep out. So now I'm going to put this clean axle on. It's cleaned up as much as I can get it, and then we're going to start slowly snugging it up against the axle, and yeah, then we'll have a complete axle back on. So let's do that. Alright, now we're going to leave it and let it snug up a little, or let the RTV harden up a little bit more, get more tacky. And then we put the drum on here. There's a little window right here where we're going to adjust this thing. So once we get everything lined up and able to get the drum back on here, we'll line it all up and we'll slap the drum on, and that'll be it, other than putting in some fluid. And then once we put in fluid, it'll be done. Well, at least the axle will. The brakes, I still have to hook up the e-brake, and I have to redo the rubber lines and flush out the hard lines. On the axle right here, got to flush these out. Got, like I said, new wheel cylinders right here, and then the e-brake I've got to slide back in here and hook it up, which I'll do in just a second. But this rubber line, I got to clean it all up and clean up the junctions and all and flush it all out so that I don't have any contaminants in the brake fluid. So that'll be on the next episode, as well as a couple other things that I want to do. I'm going to kind of clean up in here, sand some of it down, hit it with some wire wheels, and then throw a coat of paint on it just to make it more presentable. The transmission, I've got the filter like I said. It needs to be put back in, and then we'll work on cleaning this up. I've already started with dealing with that stuff. You'll see in another video. I have to redo some wiring. The wiring is not the greatest. So, but I want to thank you for joining in to another episode of the shop. Check out the rest of our videos, and yeah, until next time.